feeling particularly stressed, lonely, anxious, uncertain, that's when I'm more likely to look for distraction. All human behavior, as I mentioned earlier, all human behavior is driven by a desire to escape discomfort. And that means, if that's true, that all behavior is driven by a desire to escape discomfort, this homeostatic response, that means that time management and attention management is pain management. We have to learn how to deal with our discomfort in a healthier way. And so I give these 3 techniques in the book of how to reimagine the trigger, how to reimagine the task, and how to reimagine our temperament. The reimagine the temperament is super important. This is where I talk about how the psychology community has really screwed us in the past decade or so by perpetuating myths, or what we know today to be myths, around concepts like ego depletion. Ego depletion is this idea that I got a lot of academic support about a decade ago. The idea is that willpower decreases with effort. Roy Baumeister wrote this book called
Willpower is a finite
Exactly, it's a finite resource that if he did these studies
so you focus on one habit, you build one habit at a time.
Well, he did these famous studies where he gave people lemonade, and if they drank lemonade, then their willpower was filled up like a gas tank. And it turns out those studies don't replicate, that ego depletion doesn't really exist. Except there's one circumstance where ego depletion does exist. And that one circumstance, surprisingly enough, is when people believe it to be true. So if you believe that your gas tank has run out, that your ego is depleted, that you have run out of willpower, a la, I am addicted, this technology is doing it to me, your temperament is such that you will act according to whatever it is you believe. So that is super important. So that's just the first step. The second step, I'll go very quickly because I don't want to bore you here. The second step is about making time for traction. So it turns out only about 10% of people out there keep a calendar. Which means that we complain about getting distracted all day long without knowing what we got distracted from. And I call bullshit. If you don't know what is it that you plan to do, you have no right to say you got distracted. How can you tell the difference between traction and distraction unless you have it somewhere written down what it is you wanted to do? So if you plan time in your day, like I do, it's on my calendar, and this is a technique I had to learn over time. I kept a to-do list forever because I went to Stanford Business School and they said keep to-do lists, and that's what I did. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
I have plenty of to-do lists. I put them in like an Eisenhower matrix.
Exactly. So we keep these to-do lists because we think magically if we write it down it's going to get done, and that's not true. We have to plan the time, the input, not the output. So we